everybody. I welcome you all to the fifth and final webinar of IWHP on the occasion of Dr. Hanuman's Week. The speaker for today is Dr. Vaijayanti Nagarkar, who is not only a homeopath but a very versatile personality. She is multi-talented. I will be telling you about her later on. Yes, she is going to speak on the topic Unraveling Secrets to Overcome the Challenge of Masking in Associating Human Personalities, Constitutions, and Temperaments to Materia Medica Life. Very, very different and a very, very interesting topic. Yes, I'm Dr. Alka Parvate from Pune, and I'm going to be the moderator for today. To tell you about Dr. Vaijayanti Nagarkar, currently she is the Chief Medical Officer, Senior Administrative Grade, in charge of the homeopathic unit in Pune under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare Department of Ayush. She is BHMS MD. She has done her MD in the role of anti-miasmatic remedies in childhood asthma. She has worked in Bharati Vidyapeeth's Homeopathic Medical College for 13 years as an assistant professor, and thereafter she joined CGHS Mumbai in 2002 and then came back to CGHS Pune in 2005. She has been the ex-secretary of CGHS Doctors Association Pune, and currently she is the chairman of the Sexual Harassment Committee in CGHS Pune, as well as NIN, that is National Institute of Naturopathy. She has been invited as the chief guest and speaker on various occasions for different events. For example, in the National Institute of Naturopathy, in government organizations like CQUAE, CQFE, at Dondumama Sate Medical College on the occasion of Hanuman's Day, at NGO Udyan Shalini Fellowship to address about 500 women on Women's Day at Elpro Auditorium, Chinswad, Lokmanya Tilak Homeopathic Medical College, and many other occasions. She has been the chairperson of the selection committee for different posts of research officers, project officers at Belapur, Mumbai under CCRH. And she's also a life member of IIHP, Indian Institute of Homeopathic Physicians. As far as her achievements are concerned, she has been a resource speaker at IIHP National Conference 2025 and also the co-chairman of the organizing committee. She has presented papers on PCOD during her teaching tenure, a paper in February 2016 on skin disorders at the national conference organized by IIHP Nagpur. She has presented a paper on homeopathic approach towards non-communicable diseases in the second Ayush International Conference held in Dubai from January 13 to January 15, 2024. And to her credit, she has many, many more achievements. The list is too long. As yesterday, I'm going to post it in the group. For you all to know, she is not only a homeopath, she is also a graphologist. She's a graphotherapist. She's an interior designer, a very good cook, a travelholic, and much more. So over to you, Dr. Nagarkar. We are eager to learn from you. You have a huge experience, and we are very, very grateful that you have decided to take up this lecture for us. All of us are waiting to hear from you, so you can begin. Thank you so much.
One change by 2030. Disasters of about 560, over 2.5 lakh additional deaths than today. This is all due to global warming. Effects on the climate. Please share the slide. Yeah, the second slide. Thank you. The second slide. Yeah. Effects of the climate and temperature, extreme weathers, the rising sea level, health risks, economic losses, intense heat waves, droughts as you're seeing nowadays, floods, storms, wildfires, food shortages, malnutrition, migration, poverty, inequality. Are you surprised? What if you and me are going to be in those 2.5 lakh people? Don't you think it's time that we look inside ourselves and just think, what is our true self? When are we going to find out what is within us? So just calm down, all of you. I'm not scaring you, but just to understand that yes, we need to look into ourselves, introspect what we are from inside, what is our true self. The second slide, please. Can any of you tell me which one do you like, the left side or the right side? Any of you can just mute and tell me. I'm sure the left side, right? Next slide.
Left side.
Next slide. Next slide. Between these two, the greenery on the left hand side and the trees which have grown outside of any mall, what is your preference? The greenery or the coconut tree which is man made? Next slide, please. And how many of you really want to go to any beach side, just dip in your feet and sit there for long hours? Or do you want to be in this jacuzzi, which is again man made? Next slide. And how lovely would you feel sitting on the river bank and enjoying seeing the flowing water? Or do you want to go to the dams and just see the still water lying there? Next slide. Now, any of you, just tell me if you resonate with this. How about going to a mountaintop or a hilltop, just you alone, nobody there, and you want to shout out, just bring out all your anger and just bring out all your frustration and yell or even abuse, to those people who have really caused trouble to you, who are torturing you. Would you like that? And how about, especially the married women, how about sending everybody from home for a 2 or 3 days vacation and you're just there alone at home? Then you're putting on the music, you're dancing to the tunes, you're singing, and there's nobody to watch you. There is no cooking, there's no deciding what vegetables to cook, what things to buy from outside. You want to do just whatever you want and at whatever given time. There is no accountability. I'm sure everybody's looking forward to this. You want to be your own. So can I have the permission to just tell, a few years ago, like when I passed out, what happened? I'm talking about 1986. I passed out from the medical college, like any of you, and my friends at that time, we were wondering that, see, we've got the degree in our hand, but where are we? All confused. We learned all the homeopathic subjects, but when we passed out of the college, we were all dazed, like, where have we, dropped down from nowhere? So like everybody else does, we started doing, we joined allopathic hospitals as, housemen, residents, and we were working there for a few months. But deep down somewhere, as we feel, we are all homeopaths. Why should we work in an allopathic hospital? I want to do something in homeopathy. So it was this time that in 1988-89, I joined the M.L. Dhawale's Institute of Clinical Research for about a year. And during 88-89, this director of the ICR, he told me, there's a new college which is coming up and I want you to join. I said, no way, because when we were students, we were in the middle benchers and I know how we used to mock the teachers because they could not teach well. I said, I don't want to be that kind of a mock, I don't want to get mocked. So he said, no, I have been seeing you for the last 1 year. And from that basis, I'm telling you, if you join the college, at least something you'll be able to impart the students. So that's how I came into teaching. And I taught there Materia Medica for almost 13 and a half years. And after which last 23 years, I'm, as a practitioner in the central government health scheme. So this is my journey as a student, as a professor, and as a practitioner. Now, in homeopathy, all of you know that individualization is an important theory which Dr. Hahnemann has found. This is an excellent principle on which we all function. When we talk of individualization, the most important is the human personality, the human mind. And there was so much of confusion so many years as to how to decode the human being. So that's what I thought. This subject is very close to all of us because that's one challenge. So my topic for today is unraveling the secrets to overcome the challenge of masking in associating human personalities, constitutions, and temperaments to the materia medica life. And all this by being an unprejudiced observer, which is the most difficult task. Next slide. See, last 3-4 days, we have been listening to so many webinars and so many wonderful, beautiful ladies talking to us about cases and whatever OPD experiences they had. And when they used to tell us about different cases, did we not start working out in our mind that, oh, I think this is carcinosin, oh, I think this is lachesis, or I think this is calcarea? So she had some different experience, but all of us listening here, we were calculating that this could be this could be this. So here, the object is one, but can you see different subjectivities? And that's the reason that we do not have an individual, we do not have a standardization, which is again a challenging thing. Just imagine if there is one patient and we are all 50 homeopaths sitting and we are asked to analyze their case. I'm definitely sure that minimum 15 to 20 remedies would come up different. So object being same, our subjectivity is definitely different. Next slide. I'm sure since childhood we have been seeing this, the 7 blind men and the elephant. So yes, friends, homeopathy is just like this. All of us have a different entry point. Some people might start practicing on the mental, somebody entry points could be the physical, somebody might have clinical history or a diagnosis, somebody might have craving aversions, it can be anything. But we will not be able to join the dots. Next slide, please. So we will not be able to join the dots unless and until, like this jigsaw puzzle, we bring in the whole totality together. But again, to have this entry point to understand the human mind is another challenge as we are discussing and going ahead. Next slide. So here we have, yes? Somebody saying something? So here what we can see is the masking. We mask ourselves and then convince ourselves that those masks are our true identity. It's time to be unmasked and to really remind ourselves of who we are. Next slide. This is a video, just play it for a minute. All the beautiful doctors here are all mothers too. Most of them are mothers too. So what you saw in this slide is when we have children, for the first few years, maybe 5, 6, 7, these children are naked in front of us. There is a lot of transparency. But once the child starts going into the cognitive phase, he has his own experiences, he has so many of emotions, then he has his own concepts which are developing. And that's how the masking begins. And as we are going to talk, how the masking is becoming a pattern of your life. So when he's becoming an adolescent, a teenager, then he's becoming an adult. As soon as he becomes, a middle-aged person, an old person, there are so many things get hidden. And how many of you in the group might be having sons? Many a times my friends keep telling me, that my son doesn't talk to me. Earlier he was very good, but now he's very secretive. He doesn't. And, the doctors who have got daughters, I think the situation is a little better off, because that's where they're able to speak out their heart. They'll come and talk to their mothers, they'll be open about it. So this is a very common scenario in everybody's houses. So this masking keeps changing as our age advances, and that's how we gradually become. Next slide, please. So what actually is masking? Masking means it's concealing a person's natural personality or a behavior in response to social pressures, abuse, or harassment. It can happen intentionally to begin with, but over a time it happens unconsciously. And if the individual receives negative feedbacks for their authentic presentations, he becomes more and more secretive. Scientists Aikman and Wallace Friesen described masking as above, that it becomes a pattern of a life, and it impacts the true behavioral patterns and human personality. This Lorna Wing, another psychoanalyst, she proposed that, most of the times women have a very high level of masking. And definitely we can assess that from ourselves, managing home, managing office, managing children. So multitasking, this is a real balancing thing we are doing. Carl Jung, another theory of persona. The concept of masking or presenting a false self is primarily associated with Carl Jung's theory of persona and Donald Winnicott's theory of true self and a false self. Persona is used to describe the social mask or a role of an individual which adopts to present themselves to the world. Winnicott, a psychoanalyst, found that the individuals may develop a false self to protect their true self from perceived threat or to gain approval from others. False self is an adaptation and a coping mechanism everybody is adapting. Next slide. Now, all of you can tell me, frankly, can anybody mask this? If a patient comes to you and you're checking the BP and you can see the BP is 200 by 100, you can see a patient, a lady coming to you just walking, like limping and putting her hands in front of you, you can immediately make out that she's got rheumatoid arthritis. Reports like an MRI scan showing you big clots in the brain. Your reports, your hematology reports, your blood sugar reports indicating very high blood sugars. Are these maskings? No. Because these are the things which will tell you that there's something going wrong inside and we have to decode. Next. Now, what could be the signs of masking? As we said, the reports are one aspect of the signs. What could be the other? The symptoms of masking are physical fatigue, mental exhaustion, feeling like a hypocrite, like we are saying something, but your mind knows that, no, this is not true, but I have to fake it. Lack of satisfaction in your job, in study, and anything that you do. Negative feeling towards yourself. You're not liking who you are. And that's how the low self-esteem starts developing. These pressures can lead to psychosomatic or autoimmune disorders. And we saw the slide up. That's how the patient is landing and he represents in that particular way. Next slide. So what is the reason that people mask? We all homeopaths, we know, we agree, and we have seen that we are the result of our childhood. Most of the things happen in childhood, and that's how our conditioning is taking place and we become. So what is it? One is the social pressure, the anxieties, our past experiences, avoid being judged or avoid being misunderstood, the fears which we have. You feel out of place so many times to make a facade. So many times we are criticized in childhood. We are teased in schools or even in our relatives. And this is leading to a low self esteem. Next slide. So, how are you going to identify? Because these people are not going to come to you with their original self. So, what is it changing into? So, the masking is taking place into these different types, like people pleaser. So many times you'll find somebody's coming to you and talking very nicely. You tell them to do this, yes, they are going to do. They will not oppose you or they will not rebel against anything. So this first category people is called people pleaser, making everybody happy except yourself. And they're all the time waiting for somebody else's validation. Then the social butterfly. Lots of friends, millions of them, outgoing, superficial nature, but they cannot relate to people. Most of the times people say that in actuality you have one or two friends, but on social media and Facebook you have thousands of them. That's a very routine joke. Then the next one is the victim. Fragile sense of self-esteem, blaming others all the time to protect oneself. Or even for that matter, you are trying to be a victim yourself, all the time having that feeling. The next one is the bully, abusing, dominating, self doubt. And again, these people cannot relate in forming any kind of relationships. The next is the loner, very aloof, detached, appear as a snob. Again, they cannot form good relationships. So they feel it's better not to go for any kind of invitations, not to go and attend any kind of functions, but be with themselves. The next one is the clown, all the time making people laugh, always smiling, but you'll never know that what is behind their mask. Then the other one is the one in control. They're always perfect, impeccable, and they can manage people around them so well. But if these people are not around, there's a lot of chaos. So this is the controlling mask. The unbothered, they are going to portray as if they're very calm and composed and strong. The next one is the perfectionist. They are best at everything. They will always crave for praises. And their self-worth is very, very important to them. Next slide. The next one is the self-deprecator or self-bashing. It's like, they always put themselves before anyone else does. If there's a boss and, he has an employee coming to him, he's going to tell the employee that, look, you did this. So before even the boss is trying to say, he will say, sir, I have not done this thing properly. I know it's such a bad thing. I'm so bad at this. So before even he's saying something, he is putting himself down. He will not allow anybody else to criticize, but he starts himself. Or he can even create humor about his own stuff. The next one is the identity mask. They practically hide everything. You'll never come to know what's in their mind. The next one is the avoidant mask. They withdraw themselves, or, with the fear of rejection. They will isolate from society, will not mix up. They do not want to attend any kind of functions, parties, or anything, but they will remain aloof and in isolation. The next one is the overachieving mask. For them, performance is very important, all the time achieving something, all the time heading towards perfection, trying to impress, create an impact, and not making a single mistake. So these are the kind of masks which we can see around us. And when I'm talking about relating all these to Materia Medica, I'm sure while I was saying all these things, something or the other in terms of constitutions have started coming up in your mind, right? Next slide. Normally, we would have got really scared seeing this, but this is a wonderful slide, very colorful. This is a chameleon. Next slide. And there is a chameleon in every human being. So the quality of the chameleon is adaptability, having a survival instinct in self-defense. Humans respond as natural instinct to what suits them best. They want their needs, like at the time of their crisis, they want to carve their lifestyles in a certain way which suits best for them. For example, how we behave in a religious environment. We'll go there, pray as everybody's praying, we'll be pious. And at the given moment, when we are away from this environment, I was talking about the religious environment. Like if a boy goes to a temple with his friends, and friends, relatives, and when he's away from the relatives, he's going to go back to his friends where he's going to hang out, and there he will show his own self by hanging out, drinking, smoking. They will tend to be obedient at home, but immediately they'll be different the moment they leave home and go outside with their friends. Because one end, they are judgmental. In their friends, there is a non-judgmental environment. And secondly, sometimes you'll find how we relate to different classes of people. If we have to meet some CEO of a particular company, how well behaved we are, how wonderfully we talk to them. At the same time, if you have a helper or some poor beggar on the street, we tend to definitely change our behavior with them. So rich and powerful people, we behave different, and the poor and downtrodden class, we behave different. Next. There's a Japanese philosophy and culture which says there are three intricate layers of human existence. So they classify it as three phases. The phase one, which we present to the world, and we want to protect that because it's constantly reflecting, and this is our personal branding. Now, so many times you'll see Insta, social media, YouTube. What are we doing? It's personal branding. What we are showing to the world, it may be different within. So to create a positive impression all the time, we are taking these efforts to establish a credibility through the fact to the face people engaging in professional interaction, networking opportunities. In the phase two, these are revealed to the close family, relatives, friends, more intimate aspect of our persona. They share their vulnerabilities or fears or joys to whom they feel they are comfortable with or they are dear to these people. The phase three, this is concealed from all. This is hidden behind the first and the second phase, and they do not reveal this to anybody. Their innermost desires and secrets are always with them. Next. So this I don't need to show. This is what we are impressed with and we are carried away with the social media, their branding, and we are all the time influenced, not knowing what is behind the screens. Next. So there are 5 behavioral patterns in human beings. One is the personal individual behavior when the person is alone, as I just said, you send everybody out and you want to be all alone with yourself, you want to enjoy, you want to just be how you are. So when the person is alone and nobody to watch and observe, no accountability, not answerable, That is the first. Family behavioral pattern is when the person is with the family, so he has to be in alignment with the family values. The religious behavioral pattern is, when the person is in a religious setting, different culture, different religious beliefs, he has to be in tune. Relationship, friendship behavioral pattern is when the person is with their cool friends or their dear ones or even their lover. A social behavioral pattern is when the person is in any other gathering other than the religious. Like they believe in a way like socially acceptable. They might be in parties or they might be in programs and any other than the religious gathering. Next. So how are you going to decode the person? We just saw that one way of understanding the unmasked way is the way he is coming to us with his own clinical presentations or clinical signs or findings. But how are you going to understand and decode the masking? So Paul Ekman in 1972 suggested that there were 6 basic emotions: fear, disgust, anger, surprise, joy, and sadness. And in 1991, he added more emotions like embarrassment, excitement, contempt, shame, pride, and satisfaction and amusement. The amygdala plays a very important role in emotion, fear, particularly for fear in particular. And this is a very important aspect we do consider in our case taking. When we talk about physical generals, these are the more important aspects, especially when it's associated with hunger or thirst. The behavior perception of facial expressions or of emotions, especially fear and anger, and also of sadness and disgust. These are very important inputs. James Lange said facial movements influence emotions. Example, a smile will bring happiness. See, generally, there were so many psychoanalysts who believed that first the thought comes and then the expressions. This duo decided, after a lot of research, they came up to this finding. He said that you come up with the expression first and then the emotions are created. Schachter-Singer theory says that our thoughts are actually responsible for our emotions. So there were multiple scientists who worked on all these things and came up with this different theories. Next. So when we come to this, one layer by layer, we want to reach the core, and that is the intention to select our homeopathic similimum. If you want to reach to the core, we have to first understand, is he into this peel of an antimiasmatic or a peel of an intercurrent, or is he into the chronicity, or is he in an acute phase, or he is into another phase, different phase together, and finally you reach the core. And once you reach the core, your job is done. But this task to reach from the expression to the core is definitely a challenging task, and we all understand that. We are all striving to know how to do it. Next. So here I am coming to this unraveling the secrets, and I want to suggest that there are 5 C's we can think of. The first C is communication, that is verbal and non-verbal. A verbal cannot be completely authentic unless and until it is accomplished by the touch of or added by the non-verbal, especially the body language, the facial expressions. The second C is concealed. A child between 1 to 10 or 1 to 6 years may not be able to mask, but after his cognitive phase is over, he boards on to the joining of hiding himself, his true self. The third is crisis. The true crisis comes out involuntarily only in times of difficulties in life, any problems and issues and calamities. And how he thinks, he behaves, and what action he takes will decide his personality. The fourth is the cryptic. These are the ways in which we can know traits which even he himself is unknown of. So many occult sciences now we have, like facial expressions, you have numerologies, you have body language studies, you have face readings, you have fingerprint impressions. And as Dr. Alka was telling about the handwriting, if you can understand the person's handwriting and work as a therapy, that is also another cryptic way. And the last one is candid. Develop some prerequisite questionnaire to decode the person in his hidden traits and get his true authentic picture. When I was talking about cryptic, since many, many years, because we in Institute of Clinical Research, ICR, we used to take the person's history in written. How many years I felt that if I could just decode his handwriting, if I could just decode, and that's what I could do in the last 2 years. So I still take people's handwritings and I'm trying to understand the person, the hidden traits, even which even the person doesn't know. But when I discuss it with him, he just tells that you are 90, 95, 98% correct. Nobody has understood me like this. I would just like to tell you a small encounter with a patient. This was just, I think, on the 14th of February, 2 months ago. An old man, 82-year-old, he just came to my OPD. His son accompanied him. The son had come from Germany and he told that his father is having some skin issues. He showed me the patches, it was psoriasis. And he said last few years, he's also having urticaria. 1 or 2 years, he's having urticaria, and that's not going with allopathy. So when I'm explaining to him that psoriasis is a part of autoimmunity, and there's some kind of stress which is impending in him. And then I said, I need to take some history of yours. I need to interrogate you. I started talking to the old person. He was very composed, and I could make out that he's retired from a good position and he's very strong mentally. I could make out that. But when I started asking him about his childhood, I could sense that the tears flew from his eyes. That very moment, I told the son, can you just excuse her? You sit outside, I'll talk to your father. And when I started asking him about his childhood, he sobbed and sobbed and sobbed, and I never saw a man crying like this. He told me that his father was the eldest son and he had brothers to look after and his children to look after. So his father was eldest, and in his own family, he was the eldest. He said because there were a number of people in the family, my father could not give any special attention to me. He said I was a very intelligent boy. I wanted to study a lot. But not once did my father ask me, what do you want to do ahead? Whatever he said, like there were so many other cousins and I have to look after everybody. So as a child, he became introvert. He never ever expressed. He was non-demanding, and he just carried on the routine way. He completed his graduation, just took up a job, and he retired in that post. So I asked him that what is there in you? He said that I could have done so much, but because I felt that my father is not giving me enough love and care and attention, and I was also non-demanding, I became an introvert. I never expressed my feelings still today, even to my wife. You're the first person who is asking me these things, and because you're asking me, I am crying. So I called the son inside and I told him that, see, this is what your father is undergoing. Please go home, sit with your family, talk to him, make him express all that he has undergone, and that will relieve him. Nevertheless, the medicine what was given, I don't remember what medicine was given, but definitely his psoriasis got better. The urticarial rash has improved. So the most important criteria that emotionally the next time he came, his son wasn't there because he went back to Germany. The next time he came, I could see that sense of relaxation, the smile on his face. So there are many things which are hidden, and I had not taken any written history from him because he just came to the OPD, and it was not a planned appointment. Next slide, please. So how can you apply these secrets of decoding? What I have understood, and even Dr. Hahnemann said, the knowledges which a physician should have He's talked about it so much in Organon, but during his time, it was not so clear, what he meant or what we could do. And there's so much of development in the different sciences nowadays. So I think we should be a learner for life, and we should be the best student of our subject. So in the last few years, what I have realized is these are the things which we must master. Though not everything, but definitely there are certain things, like for example, body language. You must master communication in such a way that just a mere, the eyes, just the motion of the eyes should tell you something. The creases should tell you something. The cognitive behavior, the handwriting analysis, polygraph, psychometric testing, the chakra analysis. Anthroponymy is the name or the science of understanding names. All of us have a certain names, and our certain names have got energies. Each of us have beautiful names, and that name has got energy, and that's another science. You must know about the dreams, because you can analyze from the dreams. Personality test, various personality test. There is a reason behind the cravings, the aversions, the taste psychology. We must go into the details. Physiognomy is the study of expressions of the facial gestures. Aura study, astrology. We are not astrologers, but some things you must understand, that the astrology or the numerology, everything matches to the traits. Mentalism. Has anybody heard of this Suhani Shah? She's an amazing mentalist. She's got so much intuition. I'm really impressed by her. There's brainwave analysis, there's palmistry, there's numerology, there's paralinguistic communication. So paralinguistic communication is the communication other than the verbal communication. Next slide. So here we are with what could be the Materia Medica Live, and how can we associate all this? This is just an example of five I've given, but we have got thousands of medicines with us. So if, for example, we have to talk about a calcarea carb, the true self and the false self, which is masking. So calcarea carb is indolent, lazy, anxiety, confused, low self-esteem, absent-minded. And how is he going to project to us if when he is coming to our clinics and we are going to ask certain questions? How are we going to understand the true self and the false self? Because he's going to project to us as a very obedient, people pleaser, calm, relaxed, flexible. Then our favorite lycopodium, low in confidence, anticipatory anxieties or apprehensive, sensitive, fear of breaking down under stress. We all know, like even a small shake hand makes him cry. But how is he going to project himself? Disciplined, overconfident, composed, an achiever or a leader, well-groomed, perfectionist, a natramure person, very sensitive, egoistic, anger, sadness, self-conscious, and self-respect. Very, very important for natramure. A self-esteem, the honor. So how is the natrum going to project to us? Again, well-groomed, perfectionist, responsible. A pulsatilla, highly timid, anxious, sensitive, low self-esteem, needs sympathy. So how are we going to perceive? She'll be a yielding disposition, dependent on other people for decisions, for support, and adaptable. Magnesium carb, an introvert, a deprived person, a non-demanding, full of sadness. But how is he going to project? There's going to be a composed, responsible personality, again a people-pleasing personality, good listener, calm, mature, and flexible. Next slide. So how to overcome masking? We have to give medicines. That is a part of our profession, definitely. But can we think of some therapeutic and a non-therapeutic way of masking or overcoming masking? First of all, leave aside the patients. Let us talk about ourselves. We've never introspected. The first thing is accept oneself first. Any change in oneself also we have to accept. Then it gives an authority to accept the other person. Any change in them also has to be accepted. Accept any kind of a neurodiversity or an atypical personality trait. For example, so many times you encounter autistic children, or you'll encounter slow learners, or you'll encounter different type of neurodiversities. Accept all of them. Accept social behaviors which might strike you as uncommon. Get over one's limiting beliefs. Speak to a mental health professional. Get help from them. Be free of judgments. This is a very, very important thing. The moment we see a person, we start having certain things in our mind. We are judging them all constantly. Reduce fears, reduce low self-esteem, the perfectionist attitude, the rejection, the criticism. Improve your communication skills is a very important suggestion. Journaling, you can just start writing whatever you want. Be free, know yourself, and write in your journal. Engage in activities which will really help you overcome all the above issues. We'll come to that. So engage in activities which will help overcome all the above issues and boost one happy hormones. Yoga, meditation, recreation will really help you. Then the other day also somebody was saying breath work is very important. Then what could be the therapeutic ways? Homeopathic constitutional medicines, after assessing causes, evolution since childhood, understanding the core of the individual as we just saw the slide, to bring in a positive change in the epigenetics, especially pertaining to his phenotypic expression, which will really be a great achievement. Vitamin B12, D supplements, omega-3, zinc, magnesium are very useful, especially if the person has sleep issues or depression, anxiety symptoms, nervousness. A very good protein-rich diet to increase the muscle mass, a lot of exercise which is appropriate to him and adequate. And I'm sure you will never know who you are unless you shed who you pretend to be. This was by Veronika Tugleva, an author, poet, and an activist. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Vaijayanti. It was a wonderful speech.
Okay.
Yes, we have a lot many questions coming up now. We'll begin with
So
Dr. Vaijayanti.
can I speak, Dr. Alka?
I think we should give the chance to Dr. Vaishali because she has been waiting for quite some time. Okay. We'll start with her. Yes, Dr. Vaishali.
You're muted.
Thank you, Dr. Vaijayanti, for a beautiful lecture. You really made us think of a lot of things today. There are two questions I would like to ask actually.
Yeah.
First is the masking suggests the psychotic miasm, right? In cases of frank syphilitic cases, say diabetic foot, diabetic ulcers, or stroke, or anything, will we see it? And is there a need to see that? Or that is only for cases which are coming in the psoric and psychotic miasm? Because finally, all the things we'll be doing are for the medicine. As you said, the first person wept, that was catharsis, which helped the case more than anything.
Everything what we are doing is for the selection of the medicine, right? Number one.
Yes.
Number two, the kind of expression of the person will indicate the miasm.
Yes.
Okay. I'll give you an example. Just 3 days ago, one small child who was about 4 years old, a girl who came with the father, both of them had some respiratory issue. The daughter was not sitting in one place. She was jumping from here to this chair to that place. And she was almost, whatever my pen stand and all the stuff from that, she's pulling it out. She took one pen and she's kind of hitting the father. And she's pinching and, doing what not to the father's cheek. So I was calm, but he was telling, "Aise mat karo, ye mat karo, idhar beto, idhar beto." So I was calm. And then I said, probably even she needs medicine. Okay, I asked her whether is she hitting and she biting and pulling hair, banging. He said, yes. And then I asked her many questions. He said, आपने जो जो मुझे पूछा है सब मेरी बेटी करती है. So I said, okay, you bring her next time with the mother and we will see. He said that my wife also needs medication because she's also suffering from depression and, postpartum, just having a baby postpartum. So now in this case, whether this child's expression of violence is a masking and then what is the child's originality. So if you understand the child's core, it could be different, and the child's masking may be another miasm altogether. So if you, like we discussed about the layer by layer, if you can remove the first layer, then the second layer, maybe the child could be a phosphorus inside. You never know, because she had long eyelashes, she was very artistic. And then when I asked her, is she very loving and caring? He said, yes, she's very loving and caring. किसी भी जानवर को पास लेती है, बच्चे को भी लेती है. But then once she's angry, then that violence comes up. So probably the expressions will tell us, the masking and the expressions will tell us in which phase of the intercurrent or the anti-miasmatic the person could be.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Nagar.
Just adding to you, say for example, this old man I was saying, for 82, like he was 82, and let us assume for the last 62 years or 60 years, he has been having certain issues of masking, not expressing, and he developed the psoriasis. The psoriasis has also not flared up, neither reduced, it's in a stagnated state. So this could be a psychotic miasm, isn't it?
Yes. There is one more question I wanted to ask actually. Suppose we know there is a patient who has come to us, we have taken the history and they are doing well. Is there any way we can suggest to them catharsis, say writing a diary daily, getting to know themselves more, becoming a more aware parent? Is there any exercise we can ask them to do with their kids so that masking can be prevented? It's like a good habit kind of a thing.
The first suggestion is, let us understand why the masking has taken place. What in the person's childhood has happened because of which she's taken up this pattern. So we have to work on that cause. She has to get over that cause, all the blocks and the inhibitions, so that we are making her absolutely normal, free to communicate. And in spite of that, again, if she's not able to communicate, then definitely journaling will help. Because journaling she's going to do for her own self, but we also want her communication to improve with the world.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Doctor, can I speak now on the same question? Dr. Vaishali has been speaking. So, questioning, see, the child, when we have given her similimum, then the child automatically clears her mask herself. Masking should not be dealt with. That is what predictive says, na? Psychotic miasm should not be dealt with, because all in the psychotic miasm, whatever he says, that will be the reverse we need to take, because that is their mask. That mask is being taken by her to live in this world appropriately. And so that mask should not be dealt with, but we need to deal with the inner side of the patient, and which we will easily get over with all the history, madam, with the sensation method, in the PEM method, in Joshi's method, in predictive method, whatever we are dealing with, it is with the inner core only, to the inner core, to know the inner core of the patient only. So whatever he says, we will just ask, why is it like that, or how is it like that, or when will you be like that? Something like that. And we will see the gestures of the patient also, because the patient will be telling something, her gestures will be different. Then immediately we will note that one. Then we will ask that, what are these gestures like? So she will tell that, no, I don't know something. See, in one case of DNA, where we prescribed DNA, see the interlacing of the fingers very tightly, interlacing of her both hands very tightly, always whatever she is explaining for 45 minutes case taking, that was her expression, the gesture. So I have asked, what does this mean? Means she is also thinking of that, oh, this could be the joint which should not be deferred, which should not be which is very much interlaced, like it could not be opened, like something that it is like two equal halves. It is like two equal halves meeting together, something like she explained. So we have prescribed DNA in that case. I forgot the case, but that case was completely cured with DNA. That was a mind symptoms case only. She came from depression and some other diagnosis was made, something like that. And if at all we will, for the Natromore patient, why she is exposing herself as self-esteem, because she doesn't have that love and care what she needs. She don't know what anything, because she is in column 1 in periodic table. That means column 1 in row 3 means she doesn't know. She need what does a child immediately after birth does in column 1. If he is hungry, he will cry. The mother will come and feed him. And again, if he cries means the mother will come and change his diapers. And again, if he cries means the mother will come and sponge him, something like that. The mother knows the meaning of his cries. That means the child knows only to cry, and the gratification instantly should be done. That only is known to Natromore. He doesn't know how to solve her problems, or he doesn't know how to do what to do next. So in her case taking, she will be exposing like, मैंने इतना प्यार दिया था ना, उनको भी करना है ना. Why is he not doing that? Why मुझे ही क्यों करना है? Why is not doing? ऐसा ही बोलती रहती है. Then we ask, okay, then what next? No, ऐसा नहीं है. So he needs to appreciate me also, no? Getting up and to appreciate, अच्छा चलो कॉफी अच्छा है, कुछ तो अच्छा है, और ऑफिस जाके कुछ तो बोला. That means she needs all the care and necessary well-being stuff from only person. That is one. Because a child infant responds only to her mother in that early ages, because mother only will feed her, no other can feed her, something like that. So only 1-to-1 response will be there in Natromore. It's like that we will be exposing. So when we see that she is very self-esteemed person, she is speaking like, and she is maintaining her dignity, and she does not want us to see her tears falling down, then we will ask her. We will be going on taking the case taking, and at some point when her sensitivity is more, we will stop and we will ask her to explain more. So that is where we will deal with her crisis moments. Agar sometimes in psychotic patients, they will mask, we will not be able to reach to them. Then we will give them certain situations. Like कभी आपने जंगल में फंस गए तो क्या करेंगे, और कभी आपने ऐसा situation हो गया आपका, then how would you react, something like that. So think करके बताने के लिए भी बोलते हैं कभी कभी. Then what happened? Then they will think and they will, okay, I may have like this, I may have like this, I may have did like this. Then why did you do like that? You have done like this all. Like that we will be going on discussing with him. Like a daily बातचीत जो हम करते हैं, उसमें भी we can sense the inner core of the patient. And naturally, going through all the other sciences like handwriting, expertism, mentalism, everything helps for the knowledge of the doctor himself or herself. That's all. So everything can be taken care by the homeopathic simillimum. This is what we learned in sensation method. And after going through all the predictive sessions and after learning predictive, and after that, we did sensation method from Dr. Rajan Shankaran sir. Then we have did the PEM method by Mahesh Gandhi. So what not? Homeopathic simillimum can do anything, and we can reach by our homeopathic case taking only. So once the case is completely taken, so as they say in the organon that well taken case is half cured. So there is no need to explain them to how to behave, how to do something like that. They already know what is their inner core is. Then they start behaving like that. And whenever we give the simillimum, automatically they'll behave like that. So that is why we need to take the symptoms in the crisis period, not that what they say. And as Dr. Vaishali has asking the core syphilitic cases, in that syphilitic cases, the PQRS symptoms, PQRS are nothing but their vital force speaking out. So the symptoms which we see, like the diabetic foot, we need not ask anything. 1 or 2 symptoms the PQRS will be telling. If there is any weeping eczema, then we can see that her mind, his or her mind is not that much good. So she may have gone through a lot. There is a very much something like that, na? So to reach the core, we need to get
talking about the constitutional and for deep acting. We are not talking about the phase or the acute remedies or even the deep acting medicines.
No. Depending for the masking, I'm telling. For the masking, we need to take the mask away. For that, our case taking is generally sufficient, madam. Generally, it is very good in taking away the mask, and we can reach into the core also. There is, and it is a very easy process. जैसे कि हम बातों में भी we can take that if you are very much knowledgeable like that. That means if we have knowledge of all those sciences which you have told, that will happen very easily. There is no need to get that much. जैसे कि आप बता रहे हैं ऐसा, if we go through your mean it, ऐसा practitioners को, early practitioners को ऐसा लगता होगा कि oh my, this is so difficult homeopathic case taking, वैसा लगता होगा, but that is not the case. It's very easy. होम्योपैथी में बातचीत करने से ही हमें हो जाता है. Just like a tea party में भी हम we can guess that this patient is something like this, like that. That's what I want to tell regarding the masking, madam. Thank you for the opportunity.
In kitty party also there's a lot of masking. So what we are also trying to learn is, if a person is taking an hour to take the case, how can we have different ways to finish it at least in half an hour? So these are the skills which we have to upgrade, because this is going to help us to narrow down our selection of the medicine. And we are not, what you said earlier was the homeopathic medicine or the Similimum is enough to get the masking. That is very true. I'll give you an example. I had a lady patient who was a Muslim, about 60, 65 years old. And the issue she had was like diabetes and many health issues. And whenever she would come to me, her expression was very angry and sad and mixed kind of an expression. So finally, one day I asked her, what is an issue with you? Why are you so upset? Then she, like a very naive person, she was saying, क्या बोले, ऐसे ही है, बचपन से चल रहा है, मेरी sister के साथ ही ऐसे होता था. Then gradually, like in a talking style, she told me that the enmity she has with her sister, because the whole family, including her mother, father, used to be very partial to her, loved her more. That's what she felt. And these people were very torturous and didn't recognize her feelings, etc. So she came up. So I understood that all these things are belonging to the natrum. So I gave her a natrum Phos. And after about 1 month, she came and she was smiling and she said, बहुत अच्छी डॉक्टर, आपने दवाई दी, बहुत अच्छी, अभी तो मैं ये दवाई छोड़ूंगी ही नहीं, बहुत ही अच्छी. I said, what happened? She said, एक तो मेरा एसिडिटी तो बहुत 90% ठीक हो गया. I said, then I was not interested in the acidity part. I said, अभी घर में कैसा है, आपको क्या है, बहन का क्या है, अभी तो कोई लगता ही नहीं ना मेरे को, बहन के बारे में तो कुछ लगता ही नहीं अभी मेरे को. So this is what you are saying, that the masking has helped her, I mean the medicine has helped her to get away those negative feelings.
Yes, for that mask only. So you said that about 1 hour case taking. No, it's not necessary for 1 hour. That 1 hour is only for our knowledge sake.
Once you get the crux, it could be in 15 minutes, it could be in half an hour, it could be in 2 hours.
Yes, that is.
Once the doctor gets the feel of it, you're through. But what I'm trying to say is there are sometimes, it's a hard nut to crack. Sometimes then these are the different skills we should be upgrading, because you have to be with the flow. Today's generation, whatever is happening in today's era with the AI coming up and all. So we have to also upgrade our skills.
Yes, madam. Yeah, but फिर भी my suggestion to you or my request to you is just आपने जितने सारे sciences पढ़ चुके थे और just go through the sensation method or PEM method once, so that all these questions and all these answers will be answered in one go, madam. So that is what I want to express from all those times, and even the predictive also is like that. Okay, madam. Thank you for the session. It's very.
Any more questions?
Yes, we have Dr. Sneha Barsenia, who's also willing to ask a question. Dr. Sneha, please ask your question. Dr. Sneha.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
I just wanted to ask that when we take in a case and if we miss the masking part of it that Dr. Vaijanti was talking, then what can it lead to? Means definitely Similimum we would be far away, or what can be the consequences on selecting the Similimum if we miss the masking?
Then there will be a wrong selection of the medicine.
Hello?
There will be a wrong selection of the Similimum.
But then if the patient is masking, then what are the long-term consequences? Like what do you feel can happen to the body?
That is the reason that if the person is masking, you have to I told you that the first important thing is you have to master the communication skills where non-verbal are very, very important. How the person is sitting, how the person's hand gesture, the facial expressions, the eyes. Eyes speak so much. So there are multiple methods by which you can assess. Our main intention is get to the core of the person and select our best medicine in whichever phase the person is coming to us.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else who would like to ask a question from the audience?
As who was there, Dr. Sneha, or I don't know who was it. So
Yeah.
every physician has a different entry point. Like we said, the 7 blind person and the elephant. Each of us have got a different entry point. Like if she's talking about sensations, somebody's talking about the predictive, somebody else is talking about Shankaran or the periodic tables. You have different entry points, but everybody's goal is same.
No, ma'am. Actually, the patient somewhere or the other loses its mask when you're asking or when you're taking a deep case or when you're listening. Sometimes I've seen that patients actually what they start off with the case and when it comes, it's a totally different picture.
So that's all the skill of a homeopathic doctor. If he's able to do the catharsis properly, then definitely the masking would
Actually, you can get in somewhere there are breakthroughs in the case taking itself, like, but not necessarily the first. In second and third, yes, not necessary in the first.
You don't need a second and third. If you're good at case taking, you don't need a second and third.
Okay.
And I've also seen there are couples which come, husband and wife, and the very traditional, typical housewives with their dominating husband. So many times you'll find that I'm asking something, husband is answering, and it's the wife who wants to answer. It's her opportunity to answer. He keeps talking, and she looks at him angrily. It's all happening in front of my eyes. So I can quickly tap the gesture and I tell my husband, if you can just sit outside.
Even the history form is sometimes written by the husband. I've seen that also.
Yes, that's why I make the person to write it all by themselves, not to discuss with anybody, handwritten and confidential.
True. Quite true.
Yes, any more questions?
So it was a really interesting discussion. Yes, viewpoints of different homeopaths and the way they enter the case to unmask the patient's reality and the patient's core. Yes, we have some more questions here coming up. Dr. Rachna also wants to ask the question. Yes, Dr. Rachna.
Yes, please share the PDFs in the group or even now if you want. And just to add on to this, all of us who show ourselves on the screen, we are not masking. All those who are behind the screens are masking. So probably they have their own reservations or some blocks or something by which they do not want to come ahead, right? So the moment you overcome that masking, be yourself, so many things open, many doors open. Yeah, please share those two, because these are the two questionnaires which will just certain questions, as the other doctor was saying, you can take help of what kind of a reaction you have, or sometimes I think I shared something related to career, what kind of careers people would prefer, all that. I'll share it in the group also. You can just share it. Yes. And there was another one which was for masking. There are so many things like trauma, releasing your trauma and your inner healing and all. There are so many things. It's all a part of your skills if you want to upgrade. Yes, so any more questions?
Yes, Dr. Megha Ajani also wants to ask a question. Dr. Megha.
Hello, ma'am. This is Dr. Megha here. Actually, I don't have a question, but I agree to what you have shared today because it's a very crucial part, not only just of case taking, but if you want to improve as a doctor, you can unmask your own shortcomings and become a better observer. So I think it really helps in our perspective also and helps us to be more open. So thanks a lot, ma'am. It's really thought provoking.
Thank you for agreeing. The more you come up with openness, the more you're reducing your masking.
Yes, Dr. Padmaja Vore also would like to again raise a question. Dr. Padmaja? Dr. Padmaja?
Yes, madam. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Am I audible, madam? Yes.
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Yes, Dr. Padmaja, please go ahead. Yes, Dr. Padmaja, I can hear you.
I think there's some internet issue. Till the time we'll take Dr. Vaishali's question. Dr. Vaishali?
Thank you. Actually, I don't have a question. I wanted to bring out certain points that I was once learning hypnotherapy. When I finished my courses, they asked us to get the book Homecoming and do all the exercise from the book. So the exercise were, what do you remember as a child? When did you cry most bitterly? So you are supposed to just sit alone, think about that incident, and write down in detail. And while doing that, most of us would cry. And end of those sessions, I think I took around 4 months. I started feeling so light. There are two things I realize in that. But while you do these exercises, you keep unmasking. We kind of heal the unhealed portions because now we have realized it is the inner child healing, as they call it.
Yes, true, very true.
Yes, but as homeopathic doctors, we are in a pivotal position to talk only for, let's say, max 3 hours. If you ask me 1.5 hour, the maximum today I'm taking 40 minutes. But if ever I've taken a case, I've never crossed 2.5 hours. In that 2.5 hours, as a junior doctor or as a senior doctor, we ask the childhood history, the chief complaint, the presenting complaint, the concomitants, thermals, thirst, everything, and reach the simillimum. And if we are correct, then that simillimum does the job which we had to do for 4.5 months. It also gets the disease corrected, plus it heals the emotions, plus it prevents the next. When we would only do that catharsis exercise, none of the symptoms improved. I have seen a lot of hypnotherapy work and a lot of therapists, but I've not seen PCOD or thyroid getting better. I've seen a lot of emotional people getting good and getting stable and unmasking happening, but I've not seen therapeutic results. Homeopathy is such a beautiful science that we do the same case taking, and the medicine works so fantastic that we actually cover the mind and body both. So I think what you said is that exercise I have done, and it's very overwhelming. And I think you should have a module for all of us, wherein we have at least one exercise per month, so that at the end of 1 year from today, we become more better and lighter, because it really works well. That's it. Thank you.
In the generation of AI, we still have a great hope and a scope because AI doesn't have emotions. They are not
Yes.
going to give you any emotional solutions. It's we who are there.
Yes. Can we design a module for a 12 months, one exercise per month? Because I've done this and it's really nice. But
Yes,
now we cannot have it every day. But since you are very senior and you keep you kind of run people through this, if we all can have one module, just a simple, whoever wants to do it will do it. But just suggest one thing per month.
That's a good idea.
We'll become better humans.
We can have volunteers or working on this also. That's definitely, because this group is a huge group, and we are not here only for patients. I always say, first yourself, isn't it?
Yes.
and then we have to be there for the patients. If we are, under, what do I say, under standard, and we are not up to the mark and all, what kind of results are we going to produce? Okay. So skills are always welcome.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yes, any more questions from the group?
I just want to add something. You won't believe, in last so many years for me, I have not found any homeopath who could select a constitutional remedy for me, because they told me that, ma'am, you're very refined, for us to get the original thing out of you. I said, I'm ready to sit here. I'll tell you whatever you want. Ask me. I said, no, not possible. So can you believe this? I don't have a constitutional medicine myself.
Ma'am, in such cases, we would only take the childhood history. Only the childhood history, because that is the unmasked part, and prescribe only on that. Because since you have learned so many therapeutic modalities, you have worked on yourself. So the lot of the onion peeling is already done. So whatever is remaining is just the cause to effect.
Absolutely. So like I told so many people, okay, I'm ready to give you my childhood history. No, they said. So this is a very different thing. Like many places, like in my office or wherever I go, people are very intimidated by me. So before anything, my first impression is very scary for them. I don't know why. And it's only after I interact with them for, 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, then they settle down. Then sometimes they will come and say कि हम लोग बहुत डर गए थे आपसे, लेकिन ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है, we are very comfortable with you. And उसके बाद they will come to me for any help, any suggestion, treatment, or even asking me to lend money or anything for that matter. This could be masking, no? Isn't it? Yes, so if it's done, I think we can end.
Ma'am, why do you call it masking? You have a strong personality. It is people who might be timid, who might be getting scared, but
no, this personality is not a core personality. No, it may be a developed personality, isn't it?
Yes, maybe, yes.
Yes. So like you said, the childhood thing is the most important. As you said, we can probe that. That's probably people having an impression about this, but I originally am not like this within. So it's their perception, but that's not my originality, isn't it? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Vaijayanti. It was a wonderful session. We really learned a different perspective as far as studying patients and learning homeopathy and improvising ourselves, becoming better homeopaths is concerned. Yes, I'm sure the other doctors who are there in the group have also tried to understand how homeopathy can be, studied in a different way, in different perspectives. And I think this discussion should go on further, because there are many more things which are required to understand the core of the patient. Okay. And as and how we evolve as homeopaths, I think we need to understand different ways to get to the core of the patient. That is the main crux. Yes, and I'm sure that we would be organizing more and more webinars to understand the concept of different homeopaths as to how they reach to the core. Yes, and how they are able to unmask the patient and understand how the reality is, or what the core is. Okay, so thanking Dr. Vaijayanti and also Dr. Vaishali for having taken up the initiative to form this group, and also
Excuse me, Dr. Alka.
yes.
Excuse me. Yeah, Dr. Vaishali, a small request to you.
Yes.
So the location, the webinars link is there, na? So that link will be same for all the webinars, right? So if it is like, no, you can fix one link for the Zoom link for all the webinars, and if you can pin that in our group, there is no need for us to search for the link every time. Today it takes so many after, so I need to scroll so many messages to get the link of today's webinar.
Okay.
So please do that,
Yes,
so that every
keep
time we will
keep that in
on that
mind so
one
that
and we will see.
We'll work on it. Yes.
we'll work
Yeah,
on
thank
it.
you.
Thank you. Oh, great. Okay.
Okay, but it will be a good idea if we pin the link, and I'm sure that will be very much useful, and people would be more and more people would be interested now that the topics are so wonderfully discussed, and certainly it has been a very good learning journey. There are many more things yet to come up. Yes, there are many more webinars which would be arranged even in the future. I'm sure of that, and I expect that all the other participants who are also working in the field of homeopathy, dedicated to the cause of homeopathy, would be coming up and sharing their experiences with all of us. So thank you so much, Dr. Vaijayanti, once again. Thank you, Dr. Vaishali, Dr. Rachna, and Dr. Diksha, who have helped to make this entire webinar a success. And good night, everybody. Meet you all again on some other occasion. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much to all of you.
All the powerful women. Thank you.
Yes.